serving in this community, and we pray that tonight as we deliberate and discuss, you would help us to make decisions that are in line with your will and purposes. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you do a roll call, please?
Commissioner Webster?
Here.
Commissioner Holzhausen?
Here.
Commissioner Howard?
Here.
Commissioner Garber?
Here.
Commissioner Marks?
Here.
Commissioner Plowman?
Here.
Chairman Broder?
Here. All right, at this time, I will need a motion to approve the minutes of the August 8th. Thank you very much. I see that. I need a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Support?
I have a motion with support. Any discussion, changes on the agenda? Hearing none. Thank you, Commissioner Plowman. Hearing none. All in favor of approving tonight's agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And unanimous. Now is the time where I will need a motion to approve the minutes of the August 18th, 2022 Board of Commissioners meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I have a motion with support. Any discussion on those minutes? Hearing none. All in favor of approving those minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. I will also need a motion to approve the minutes of the September 1st, 2022 Special Board of Commissioners meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Support?
I have a motion with support. Discussion of those minutes. All in favor of approving those minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we have those minutes approved. Next, I will need a motion to approve the bills. Commissioner Plowman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move to approve the invoice reports dated 8/17, 8/19, 8/25, 8/26, 9/2, and 9/9, and authorize Treasury to draw warrants for sale from the amount of $5,646,905.98.
Support.
I have a motion of support on approval of the bills. Is there any discussion on those bills? Hearing none, I'd like a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Holzhausen?
Yes.
Commissioner Howard?
Yes.
Commissioner Garber?
Yes.
Commissioner Marks?
Yes.
Commissioner Plowman?
Yes.
Commissioner Webster?
Yes.
Chairman Broder?
Yes, and the bills are approved. At this time, we have opportunity for public to speak. I see no slips up here. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this board? Seeing none right now, we will move on to committee reports. Commissioner Holzhausen, would you like to get us started there?
Okay. Yes, I'm on the 911 board, and I guess I told you last time they put $1 million into their MERS fund, and they knew, I guess they owe some more, but they had it in their fund balance. And also they have a little plumbing problem over there they're working on, so we don't know what that's going to cost yet. Also, I'm on the senior citizen board, and things are going good over there. I guess our main problem is we have trouble getting food from Gordon Foods. They run out and everything else like that. And also with the cost of gas so much, Meals on Wheels, we decided to give them a little extra money for that, so the people that do that. Also, I'm on the mental health board, the health and wellness board. Things are going along good there. There's still, the state is trying to take it over and privatize it, so they're still worried about that.
Have we heard anything about how, does that look likely or not likely? Have we heard
Well, they're just, I don't know, we're having a meeting Monday. I'm also on the finance committee, so I'll hear more update Monday. So.
Okay.
And also I'm on the Shiawassee Economic Department Partnership, and things are going good over there. I got an email that is top 40, 40 they call it, and it's 40 people under 40, and Dr. Bowles was one of them. That's people that he's in his profession, you know, here, plus he teaches at Michigan State, and they did that. They had several applicants, all of them. Some of them are hairdressers and salesmen and all that, and the top 40, and he was one of them. so, in his profession. I don't know if you know any more details on that.
I saw that write-up was in something called And magazine, it's a quarterly published.
I got an
publication
email
on
on
that
it,
area.
yeah.
And it was a very nice write-up, about 40 people under 40, so he was
Yeah,
listed
we're gonna
in there
lose
with a
him.
nice blurb.
Yep, and I got
Here
a,
we could congratulate him, but he sent me a picture of the beach he was looking at with the sunset and so on. I think even with this mention, he'd still rather be where he is. I'm just guessing.
if they had a picture of all the 40, and I'd seen him in B&B, he was one of the top 4 because they went alphabetical, so, and they had a nice picture of him, all in color and everything, so. I was proud of him, so. Thanks, I'm done.
Thank you. Commissioner Howard.
Planning Commission did not meet in August, but we are finally meeting again in September, so we'll have an update next commission.
Is that all?
That's it.
Commissioner Garber?
I have nothing today, thank you.
All right. Commissioner Plowman?
I-69 did not meet. I went to the GS,
T, Michigan Works.
yeah, Thumbworks, yeah. And they're really busy now. That's good. For a couple of years, they were actually working on unemployment insurance, but now they're a little short-staffed, but they're rolling right along. Road Commission's doing well. They got all their projects done. They're just doing some trimming and doing some graveling right now, and that's, and then Parks and Rec, I reported on Monday, it's moving along, and the plan's coming together, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Commissioner Barnes? Commissioner Wentz?
Just a couple of quick things. At the Council on Aging, there was a special building committee meeting, which I attended, I think that was August 30th. They're considering doing some expansion and remodeling at the Shiawassee Senior Center to better accommodate all the programs that happen there. And so the building committee looked through some bids and is taking a proposal to the board meeting, which we will have next month. So that might be some new things coming there. Community Corrections Advisory Board, of course, you know, you approved the formation of the Office of Pretrial Services last month. We meet next week. On the agenda for next week is a presentation from the Michigan Department of Corrections. Pretrial services is just one portion of what Community Corrections Advisory Board will do. Usually those boards are funded by some state funds as regulated by the MDOC. And so we're gonna have a presentation next week because it's time to start the grant funding that will be submitted in 2023 to possibly get funded in 2024. So you have to start in the fall of 2022 to get money for 2024. So we have that presentation next week at noon in this room on Wednesday. The BAAA did not meet in August. Health Board, you've heard a lot from the school nurse program is one of the big things that has happened there. Things are sort of getting somewhat back to normal post-pandemic, and some of the programs that were sort of on hold are getting back in the swing of things. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Wentz. Oh, sorry.
I forgot about it, I should, I'm sorry. Senior citizens having an open house, and all the centers, 50 years open house, and they're having it at Owasso, Durand, and Morris, and I think they're having food trucks and the one everybody's set, but I didn't bring the dates. I'm sorry.
I got
Oh.
it down. What is it?
Yeah. 50th anniversary, Wasso Center, September 19th from 2 to 5. Durand Center, Thursday, September 22nd from 2 to 5. Morris Center, Monday, September 26th from 2 to 5. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's important.
Thanks for remembering that.
Yeah. I think Marlene and I both forgot it, right?
Yes,
I'm sorry. That's quite important because they want people
It
to
is.
show up and.
All right then, if there's nothing more, we're gonna go into committee motions and reports. Commissioner Plowman, I know you need to leave early. Would you like to go first on this?
Yes, I will.
All right, I don't think anybody will object to that.
Finance, item A, I move to approve the proposal from Brand Row for repairs to the line limestone exterior of the Surbeck building in an amount not to exceed $35,500.
Support.
Got a motion with support. Any discussion on that item? Hearing none, I'd like a roll call, please.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Garber,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Plowman,
Yes.
Commissioner Webster,
Yes.
Commissioner Holzhausen,
Yes.
Chairman Broder.
Yes.
I move to approve the new OPEB trust document as presented.
Support.
Got a motion with support. Discussion on that item. Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Garber,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Plowman,
Yes.
Commissioner Webster,
Yes.
Commissioner Holzhausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Chairman Broder.
Yes.
I move to approve the agreement with Walsh Consulting to conduct a coordinator search and override the existing procurement policy for 3 bids.
Support?
I have a motion with support. Further discussion on that item.
I would just, for the public that's here, we had extensive discussion about this last night, and we did have 2 bids. Added to this motion to override the existing procurement policy because of time, so.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I think this is a good value, and I'm very happy to see that one thing that will be provided will be help with how to evaluate that position. And I think that ought to be a top priority for this board to nail out and hammer out before the end of the year, so that there's a policy that we have, and then that can be a regular thing.
Thank you. We also will, of course, if we approve this tonight, we'll have some decisions to make about exactly how that happens, regarding whether we're going to do a survey, how extensive it is, to develop a profile of what we want that will help us there. And of course, it does not preclude us from going through channels we would take without a consulting firm. That is our own advertisements and so on. As I said, I want to cast as wide a net as possible for this. This will be quite a challenge for us in the coming months. Other comments or discussion on this item? In that case, I'd call for a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Plowman,
Yes.
Commissioner Webster,
Yes.
Commissioner Holzhausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Garber,
No.
Chairman Broder.
Yes, and that passes 6-1.
I move to approve the minutes of the September 12th, 2022 Finance and Administration Committee meeting.
Support.
I have a motion with support. Any discussion on those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes my report.
And your time at this meeting. If I can take it back to Commissioner Marks.
Yes, sir. At this time, on the Economic and Fiscal Development Committee report, I would like to move that we approve the L-4029 2022 tax rate request as presented and instruct the chair and clerk to execute the same.
Support?
I have a motion with support. Discussion on that item. Roll call vote, please. Okay.
Commissioner Plowman is excused. Commissioner Webster,
Yes.
Commissioner Holzhausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Garber,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
and Chairman Broder.
Yes.
Thank you. I move that we approve the PA 116 farmland agreement application 2200008 for Marksink as presented.
Support.
Motion with support. Further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Webster,
Yes.
Commissioner Holzhausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Garber,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
and Commissioner Plowman is excused, and Chairman Broder.
Yes.
I move that we approve the minutes of the September 12th, 2022 Economic and Physical Development Committee meeting.
Support.
I have a motion with support. Discussion on those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of approving those minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That concludes my report.
All right, I'm going to hand it over then to Commissioner Webster.
Item A, I move to accept the grant from Mid-State Health Network and approve the contract with James Roper for services and have the board chair execute the same.
Support.
Motion with support. Discussion. on that item? Seeing none, roll call vote please.
Commissioner Olshausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard.
Yes.
Commissioner Garber.
Yes.
Commissioner Marks.
Yes.
Commissioner Plowman excused, Commissioner Webster,
Yes.
and Chairman Broder.
Yes.
Item B, I move to approve the appointment of Theo Smith to the Shiawassee County Jury Board.
Support.
Motion with support, discussion on that appointment. Seeing none, I believe we can do this with a voice vote. All in favor of approving that appointment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That appointment is confirmed.
Item C, I move to approve the contract as presented from LaCasa in an amount not to exceed $54,040 to be paid from the Child Care Fund and authorize the board chair to execute the agreement.
Support.
Motion with support, further discussion? Roll call vote please.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Garber.
Yes.
Commissioner Marks.
Yes.
Commissioner Plowman excused, Commissioner Webster,
Yes.
Commissioner Olshausen.
Yes.
And Chairman Broder.
Yes.
Item D, did we just do that one?
No.
Nope, we did B.
Sorry. No, we did C. I move to approve the replacement of a corrections deputy not to exceed step 3.
Support.
I have motion with support, discussion on that item. Roll call vote please.
Commissioner Garber,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks.
Yes.
Commissioner Plowman is excused, Commissioner Webster,
Yes.
Commissioner Olshausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard.
Yes.
Chairman Broder.
Yes.
Item E, I move to approve the minutes of the September 13th, 2022 Public Safety and Courts meeting.
Support.
Motion with support, discussion on the minutes. All those in favor of approving those minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the minutes are approved.
Concludes my report.
Thank you. Commissioner Garber.
Thank you. I move that we approve the contract renewal with Convenient Urgent Care for Sexually Transmitted Infection Services and authorize the board chair to execute the contract.
Support.
I have motion with support. Discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote please.
Commissioner Marks.
Yes.
Commissioner Plowman is excused, Commissioner Webster,
Yes.
Commissioner Olshausen,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard.
Yes.
Commissioner Garber.
Yes.
And Chairman Broder.
Yes.
I move that we approve the contract from SRESD to fund a school nurse for 1 year in all Shiawassee school districts and authorize the board chair to execute the same.
Support.
Motion with support. Further discussion on that item? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Plowman is excused, Commissioner Webster,
Yes.
Commissioner Olshausen.
Yes.
Commissioner Howard.
Yes.
Commissioner Garber.
Yes.
Commissioner Marks.
Yes.
Chairman Broder.
Yes.
I move that we approve the minutes of the September 13th, 2022 Health and Human Services Committee meeting.
Support.
I have motion with support. Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor of approving those minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the minutes are approved. That would be back to Commissioner Marks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move that we approve the minutes of the September 14, 2022 Committee of the Whole meeting.
Support.
I have motion with support. Discussion on those minutes. Seeing none. All in favor of approving those minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the minutes are approved. And
Thank
that
you, Mr. Chairman.
ends our motions. This point, the only thing I have to say, I talked about the land bank yesterday. I just wanted to comment to everyone, we have quite a task ahead of us. The bids are gonna come in fairly soon. For the courthouse, I do not think, there was some talk of a special meeting on the 29th. I don't think that's gonna happen right now. Don't hold me to it necessarily. I don't think our bids are gonna come in on time. I think they will be a little bit later. But one of the things I think that we can know is that it's going to happen, unless those bids are shockingly high. We have to do it. So I've been discussing more a couple of the challenges. I don't want to run around next year, if possible, with our hair on fire about what we're going to do with all our people. So we're all talking about it. Everybody is welcome to have input, and we'll keep you all in charge as far as where we're going to put people. I'd like to, as far as possible, have that nailed down at the end of the year or toward the end. And I have already talked to Dr. Boggs. Once we have contracts in hand, we can't ask for work before we've got the contracts. I want to talk about all those records up there. Obviously, we're not gonna get them all cleaned out in time, but we need them to point out what actually is gonna need to be moved, what we can cover. And I have to compliment our treasurer. She's been up there just having a wonderful time throwing things away. She and I went up there and admired the empty space yesterday. So obviously, we want to do more of that if possible, but we need to concentrate, I think, because of that ticking clock, on records that definitely are in the way. Because there's so much up there. If you haven't been up there, you gotta try it sometime. So I wanted to let you know that's one of the things I've been kind of informally bugging people about.
They don't have to be moved before they do the,
Some of them very well may, and that's one of the things that's
oh,
worrying
they're gonna
us.
be in the way, you think?
Yeah, they've told us that.
Oh, I guess I didn't
So-
know that.
If we have to move them, we have to decide, do we move them a little bit and then move them back? Or are these records we want to get out of there entirely, maybe give them a different home over wherever else we decide to? Or should we take this opportunity, if we don't have to keep them by law, should we get rid of them? You know, finally put the time in. And I know that records up there is not anybody's priority over the years because we've got so much to do and it's out of sight and out of mind. But that was never meant to hold that much weight up there. So this is good that we're gonna get to this. And like I said, I don't want to have our costs of the courthouse go up because we haven't done our work in getting people out and getting records out of the way. So that's gonna be our part.
Who's in charge of that then?
Well,
I mean, each department head has got their things up there.
that's one of the things we're talking about because I had I think Tracy, or actually Commissioner Garber had Tracy print up a whole thing with the laws on how long we have to retain those records.
Yeah,
It's
retention
very
schedule.
extensive, very confusing, and I would think that department heads we're gonna have to work with very much. Caroline and I were also there, and because she does the court records, she's got the lion's share of records up there by far. So we're gonna have to rely on Caroline. And if we have to get, I don't know, some temporary people in, if we have to get some trustees to help, but it's definitely something we don't want to leave for the last minute. We want to do our part to prepare this and make sure that we don't incur extra costs because we haven't thought of things ahead of time. And of course, it's also quite a challenge that we're gonna have the courts still function, the clerk's office still, and obviously we've got to have some way you can come back and forth wherever we put you to get records, the treasurer, the register of deeds, you know, everybody. It's gonna require some thought, so I'm definitely wanting to make sure we don't leave this too long and that we have a plan. So everybody's gonna need to be flexible, everybody's gonna be cooperative, it's gonna be uncomfortable for everybody, but it's once every 30 years and we're gonna get a wonderful building out of this. So I hope that, I hope this goes as smoothly as possible. Obviously, Dr. Boggs isn't here, so we now move into our last opportunity for the
I
public.
had one thing,
Oh.
Greg, if I could add to
Please,
your,
please do.
since we're talking about the courthouse, as you know, we had the opportunity to be there yesterday for a press conference. One of the topics of conversation are the weeds in front of the courthouse that are taller than I am. Pokeweed, some trees, some assorted, weeds. I talked to Commissioner Holzhausen about it, and we may try to make time this weekend to go clean that up for our circuit court judge and the courthouse appearance. Seriously taller than me. The ones at the health department are only about 3 or 4 feet tall, which I noticed at health board, which was also probably not what we want, but at 6 feet tall, I think we should probably get.
I thought we're going green.
Yeah. Well, you were gonna bring your sawzall.
We're gonna call that a nature area.
Just a little humor.
Yeah. So anyway, Commissioner Holzhausen and I are gonna see what we
Well,
can do.
thank you both for doing that. That's
You're
kind of
welcome.
above and beyond the call of duty.
I have witnessed the chief judge pulling weeds, so certainly Gary and I can do it.
Okay. Well, wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody, anything else?
So, Mr. Chair, wondered, what were we thinking were the next steps in regards to the item with working with this company to seek out a new coordinator?
The next steps are going to be, as I understand it, will be our deciding what we want as far as surveying. We send out certain surveys to whoever you decide, whatever, there are a lot of options. Just this board, department heads, people in general, the public, people in other countries, you know, you can cast it as wide. Obviously, the larger it is, the more cumbersome. And that will help us develop a profile. And obviously, everything is filtered through this board because ultimately we do the hiring. And then develop a list of important things we think for a candidate. What do we think should be the skills, and develop possibly a clear job description of what we expect, and so on. So that can be put out there, and anyone who applies can say, yeah, that's definitely me, or that's not me at all. I probably shouldn't even apply. So as I understand the process, that's next.
And when do we do that?
I'm not sure.
Okay, so we would probably have to have like a special workshop meeting or
I
something.
would think we're gonna have to do something like that. Obviously. Now, I'm not, we'll have to check with the legalities on this, what parts we have to have open, what parts we have to have closed, because I think there are components to each. That there's some we must hold in public, and there's some we can or must hold in a closed session. But even that, I'm not sure of. We'll have to ask our attorney about that. Obviously, we all want to step very carefully on those items. We'll be very careful about that. So we have a lot of work to do in the next couple months.
So we'll be hearing next steps very soon on this.
I sure hope so. Our fearless leader who's leaving us will be coming back next week. And
We won't get somebody top 40-40, that's for sure. He's gone.
At least I think he's coming back next week. From what he sent me, it sure would be tempting to stay. I just can't believe he wants to be there instead
Did
of
you
on
check
our
the
leave.
extradition?
Right, and I think it's a non-extradition country, so
Okay.
we gotta get Tracy to check the books.
Yeah.
Actually, sometimes it's administered by England, I believe.
So we should be okay.
Yeah, so we ought to be okay. Whether he wants to come back, that'll be the question. Is there anything else? Oh, we still have to make an offer for public. Please come forward. You'll have 3 minutes.
Just so you know for the record. Just a couple quick comments. I think it's a great idea that you hired a consulting firm. Just having a third party lead the search, and the candidates you find, funnel them in, I believe you talked about, as well as what you mentioned about the having the guidance on how to evaluate a city manager. I think that's all value added and will pay off in the long run. When you clean out the records, before you throw anything away, offer them to the Historical Society. They may want them. And then that's also a backdoor. If they take them and then you find out you got rid of something you shouldn't have, maybe you can pull it back. But I'm sure a lot of it just paper that go in the dumpster, but some of the older stuff may be of use to them. And the last thing I saw in here, the farmland agreement for Mark Sink. His son does a whole lot of YouTube videos. I think he's 14. He does a lot of YouTube videos of him driving tractors and everything. And he goes by the name Ag Adams, or Ag Adam. So if you want to look that up, he's got some really great videos on there. And YouTube actually took like 12 of them down because they said it was child endangerment because he's out driving farm equipment and everything. So they're switching over to rumble.com is what he was saying. So he came to one of the stand-up Shiawassee meetings and gave a pitch and showed a couple of those videos. And they're really awesome, so I encourage you to take a look at that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, I think we're all set then. We are adjourned.